Hey everybody, remember like a month ago when I uploaded a submission video for a Q&A and then I didn't do it for like a month? Well, now I'm doing it. I was going to do it a couple weeks ago, but, a lot's going on. There's a lot of things on my mind, a lot of videos to try to keep up with, keep up with making, a lot of things going on in my own life and in the world around us, so it kept slipping my mind, and I like to be in the right frame of mind to make these Q&A videos, because it's been a while. It's been like 2 years, I think, since the last one. So, I have, a while ago, made a list of the questions that I think are good that I got, and I'm just going to go through them in whatever order I want, and hopefully it'll be kind of fun. So let's get into it. The first one that I'm going to do is actually one that broke one of my rules for good questions, which is to not ask about Let's Watches, about what happened to videos, or if I'm going to re-upload any videos, or what videos am I going to do. I said not to ask those, but I'll answer them anyway. Because someone asked, are there any plans for a new Let's Watch? And yes, there are. I'm mainly hoping to transition the Let's Watches to primarily like YouTube videos and like maybe TV shows, stuff you can find on the internet, more so than movies, because movies is very hard to get people together for Let's Watches of movies because it's 2 hours. Everybody's got to record their shit. Everybody's got to be available. And everybody's got to agree on what they want to watch, and we all have to like get a copy of it and all that jazz, and that's before I've even attempted to actually make it. So, I do hope there are a couple of movies that me and the other people have talked about doing a Let's Watch of at some point in the near future. I would like to do one in the summer, like next month or something. But that all depends on, what's happening with everybody else and everything. I can't really just make that happen. But other than that, I like doing the commercial ones. I like finding just weird, like, random YouTube videos. It's kind of hard to find, like, a good one. Because I don't want to just make fun of, like, kids doing Let's Plays, because who the fuck cares? I mean, I was a kid doing a Let's Play at one point, so, like, why am I gonna, search for any more of those people? But it's very rare to find something as good as the lady in the last Let's Watch video, because you just kind of have to stumble upon them. So I want to make more of those, but it's just as they come. So hopefully it'll be in the next couple of weeks. And then the other question was, what happened to the Thomas the Tank Engine Let's Watch videos? And I know I have answered this before, but like a lot of older videos of mine, I have taken them down because, for the Thomas ones, there are two reasons. For one, Corey and Toast made some racist jokes that I don't want on the channel anymore. And I guess I didn't have much or didn't see the problem with leaving them up back in whatever, like 2015, 2016, or whenever I put those up. Now I've had a change of mind, so they are not there anymore. I would like to maybe do a Let's Watch of more Thomas episodes because they're entertaining to do. And, it's a show that I have a lot of history with, so I feel like I have stuff to say about it. But just without those sort of jokes. Also, with the Thomas stuff and with a lot of other things, other Let's Watches at that time, I have also been asked by Kat, also known as Toast to many of you, that she doesn't really want them up anyway because there is a lot of misgendering of her that she would like to not have on the internet anymore for very understandable reasons. So, just suffice it to say, if there is a Let's Watch from earlier, like before 2017 maybe, or 2016 really, that you liked, that isn't there anymore, it's probably either it got taken down for copyright, or we either took it down or left it down because one or all of us have some sort of problem with something that one of us said in it. And I hope that everyone can respect that. What was the absolute worst movie you've ever seen? I'm actually really bad at answering this question because I don't know what is meant by worst, because there are movies that are just like complete messes who, like, the people who made them don't seem like they know how to create a movie, but those can be really funny. Those can be some of the most enjoyable movies, and in fact some of them can even have hints of accidental brilliance. And then there are other movies that aren't poorly made, like they aren't incompetently put together, but they're just boring as shit and I hate them. And there's also movies that are bad because of what they say, that I just think that they're repugnant movies that stand for something bad or articulate something in a particularly bad way. So I don't really know which one to go with. So I'm just going to rattle off a couple of my lowest rated movies on Letterboxd and talk about why I don't like them. Not Cool is a really bad movie. I believe it was directed by a Mr. Shane Dawson, or someone. I know he's involved with it. It's a bunch of internet people though, so I don't know who all is in it. There's a lot of YouTube celebrities in it that I don't recognize because they made videos that I didn't watch in the early 2000s. And yeah, they made a movie called Not Cool, and it sucks. It's the plot is very thin and hokey. The acting is terrible. It is very much a directed by cinematographer kind of, no real accounting for visual language to speak of. Despite being very trite and derivative, it's also just very, like, pointlessly offensive, and just feels gratuitous and gross and dumb. Don't like that movie. Food Fight, that kind of goes into the category of it's just, like, terribly made, but that's what is fun about it. It's like 85 minutes of some of the most incomprehensible bullshit I've ever seen, but at least once, I've seen it twice, so I guess it can't be completely unbearable. And just the novelty of its existence, all of these huge stars and this massive budget making this ugly, unfinished looking and just like completely like bereft of artistry sort of movie. It's really funny and it's really interesting in a lot of ways. So I can't knock it too much, but I mean, it does suck. Like, it's a shitty movie. It's really bad. Last one that I'm gonna do, a lot of these are just like shitty animated movies that are, just bad, but they were made to be like in the Walmart bargain bin. Like, I wouldn't expect anything of them, so I can't feel too mad at them. Like I said, there are some bad movies that I hate, but they aren't poorly made, I don't think. Like, they weren't made... They don't seem to have been made by a person who doesn't know how to make movies. And in fact, it's directed by a very well-known, and I believe Oscar-nominated director, and it's extremely loud and incredibly close. And I just find it extremely manipulative and meandering and... again, trite, and I don't know, I don't like it. I'm not gonna go too much further into it. I don't find the characters very believable, and I don't find the story all that interesting, and I find the main character to be very insufferable, and I am not even against movies where the protagonist sucks and that you're supposed to be annoyed by them or hate them. It's probably the worst case of, the Oscar bait sort of formula, and it worked. I mean, it got a Best Picture nomination. I think it's the worst reviewed Best Picture nominee ever. And, with good reason. It sucks. Alright, so moving on from that, do you prefer Battle for Bikini Bottom or the SpongeBob movie game? It's Battle for Bikini Bottom, hands down. The movie game is, has a lot of neat ideas, and I mean, it uses the same engine and graphics as Battle for Bikini Bottom, so there's a lot of similarities in how the levels are the platforming levels at least are put together, and how they play and how they feel to play, so it's still a lot of fun, and I do think it still stands among some of the better licensed games out there. But to me, the movie game feels a lot more rushed, which I can imagine it was because it's based on a movie. That's how those games usually turn out. It feels a lot more rushed. There's a lot of padding, like lots of time challenges, ring challenges, like a good probably over a third of the game's missions are just like beating a timer, just doing something you already did once or twice or three times before, but now there's a limited amount of time. And it just feels like a way to sort of artificially inflate the game time because they needed to make a deadline. And they couldn't. I mean, I would have just been fine with, a couple little gimmick. Like, I don't mind the sliding or driving levels, but if, there were things to do other than just beat the time or drive through all the rings. Like, if you had something to do, or if it were just one long driving or sliding section, and that's the level. And it's like maybe like the flying sections in Spyro where you have like all the things and you can go through it as many times as you want to try to get everything and whatever. Stuff like that, like get the highest score possible. Stuff like that would have been fine, but like all these challenges, I think Battle for Bikini Bottom is just like better bang for buck entertainment for each level. Like I get more out of each hour of gameplay than I do the movie game, I think. Are there any so bad it's good movies that you can't watch for whatever reason? I actually got a few questions like this, and whenever I do a Q&A, I typically get questions like this, probably because I've made a bunch of Let's Watches of shitty movies that I think are funny. And I'm trying to think of movies that are considered so bad they're good, but that I don't like. The first thing that comes to mind, which is weird because it's not like I can't watch it or like I can't stand it, I just think it's overhyped, is Kung Fury. I think that's what it's called. But I remember when that came out and everybody thought that it was like this very unique and interesting sort of treatment of 80s pop culture. And I just didn't get a lot out of it. I didn't think it really did a whole lot with its aesthetic. I think it was just an exercise in reproducing a version, the remembered version of that time period and that kind of pop culture for now, without really saying much of anything interesting about it. So, and I know that was, considered one of those things where it's very goofy, it's very campy, but that's kind of the point, and it's good. But I don't even know if that really fits as so bad as good. So I don't really know. I don't know. I think some movies are good and some movies are bad. I don't really give a fuck what people think about them. Are there any countries that you want to visit someday? Oh, yes. I would love to. I would love to get the fuck out of here. Yeah, there are a lot of places that I would like to go. I've never been outside of the United States. I'd love to go to Ireland. I'm Irish. I'd like to see the place where the folks came from. Not my folks, but the folks that made my folks. Well, the folks that made my folks, honestly. Europe in general, I'd love to see the Netherlands. I like the history of Europe, and that's one of the main, reasons I have for wanting to travel. I'd love to visit, Japan and South Korea at some point. I would like to visit India at some point. Yeah, I like Cuba. I want to go to a bunch of fucking places. It's just a matter of if I will ever be able to. Just not only my own financial and physical ability to do it, but just whether or not those places exist or I can go there anymore. I don't even know. That's the thing with plans for the future now. Now as if it wasn't uncertain and murky enough, now we have the added bonus of, oh, well, there is that thing that happened that might, we don't know if the world will ever actually be normal again now. That might throw a wrench in my plans. What are your biggest pet peeves in video games? The people who watch my Let's Plays should know very well by now that probably the thing that I complain about the most in video games is sections of a game, especially a typically fast-paced game like a platformer, where the difficulty is just that you have to wait a long time for something to happen, that it just takes a while. There's a moving platform and you just have to get on it and stand and wait for it to move, and then you jump to another one and then you wait, or, whatever. I have no problem with having to time things necessarily, because that's, tried and true part of platforming game mechanics. but just like the boats to get to the island in Mario Sunshine, where you have to ride the boats on Yoshi so you can clear off the barf and get in the pipe. Stupid. Fucking terrible. Why? What is fun about standing on the slowest moving boat of all time for 5 minutes and then having to do a precarious spin jump onto the next one? Then if you fuck it up, you have to do it all over again. That is stupid. It takes so long. It's not fun. I don't know why people do it. So that's probably my biggest one. I could probably think of some other ones, but that's the first one that comes to mind. What is your favorite fruit? Probably bananas, or I like mangoes, but I mostly like things with mango in it. I'm not like chewing on mangoes very often. What is your opinion on corporal punishment? I don't think you should do it. Being a parent sucks, probably, from what it seems. It seems that it's, a big pain in the ass when your kid won't listen to you, but at the same time, you're the one who made a person. So now you have to fucking make them work. You have to make them be good. And I just think that the track record of people being beaten by their parents turning out to be like good or healthy people, I just don't think the track record is that good as compared to the track record of talking to them or, trying to understand them or whatever. Our society doesn't really see it as okay for anyone except the state, of course, to use violence against someone except in self-defense, but just if someone's just being a shithead or they're not listening to you, then just punching them in the face, it might be funny, but most people are probably going to be like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that, because why are they going to fucking listen to you if just because you punch them in the face? I mean, yeah, they might listen because they want to stop getting punched in the face, but they haven't learned anything, and they probably hate you now. And in general, just not the best way to deal with the situation. And I just don't know why we don't extend that to kids, because children are people. They're as emotionally complex as adults. They can't articulate those feelings, but they feel real emotions and they do understand things. Has your YouTube channel affected your personal life in any way? Not really too much, no. I don't really want it to all that much. I kind of like it just being a thing that I do in my free time that's fun. I mean, people in my life have found it and been like, oh, hey, you make YouTube videos. And, sometimes, Liv has to wait in the other room because I'm busy recording like I'm doing right now. Or because I'm busy gaming and doing Twitch streams. But other than that, no, not too much. On a similar topic, do you ever worry that you'll always be known for your Let's Watch stuff rather than your reviews and gameplay videos? Yes, a little bit, yeah, sometimes. Not for the reason that I think some people might think, where, I'm mad that my current stuff that I think I've been pretty transparent that I think it's better, that I'm happier with the stuff that I've been putting out the last couple years than in the first several years of my channel. It's not that I'm mad that these videos aren't getting the kind of engagement and viewership that a lot of those old Let's Watch videos did. Because while it would be nice to have a large audience, I don't really care. As long as someone's watching it and someone gets something out of it and I have fun doing it, I don't really mind. But the thing that does worry me, or the reason that I am sad that the Let's Watches to this day continue to be the thing that gets the most views of mine, is, for one thing, I just think they're, like I said, just worse videos. But also, as I mentioned earlier in the video, there are jokes that I am sad that I and my friends made, or even not even just jokes or words that we use, but just the attitude of, making fun of these kids that were just making shitty videos and, now have taken down at their request because commenters were seeing my video and others. I didn't know that I was part of a dog pile at the time, but with regard to Sammy, and let me know that the videos were causing them distress and depression, and I don't want that. And so that was kind of the moment where And this isn't an excuse, by the way. I mean, that person who did those things is me, and I own up to it. I was at a point in my life where I tricked myself into thinking that nothing that I did on the internet had any consequences. That you could, as long as you were joking, and as long as it was in the context of everyone like, oh, we're just having fun, then it's okay. And, you know, there are friends in my friend group who approve of it and whatever. And it was when, you know, Sammy and Max reached out to me and said how these videos were affecting them, that I realized, like, oh, well, of course that's not true. Like, you like, and honestly, at that point, like, I was probably 18 by that point. Like, you're an adult, you need to own up to what you do, and you need to try to, you know, make some sort of amends, and the very least I could do is just take the videos down like they wanted me to and apologize to them. And I did. I have personally apologized to Sammy. I don't think he's replied. I know he's read it, but that's the sad part of the Let's Watches, is it's literally the most embarrassing part of my life, and it's the part that has gotten the most attention on the internet. And maybe that doesn't read to all the people who are watching it. I mean, the biggest complaint that I get on the Let's Watches is people think that I was uploading the entire fucking movie, and they're mad that I'm talking over it. So I guess it doesn't really register for most people that I am embarrassed of that. But again, not even just the words or the jokes, but just the demeanor, just the making videos that the entertainment just comes out of essentially just bullying people, getting a rise out of people. I'm trying to move my channel and everything forward into being something that's a little more interesting, hopefully entertaining, and, you know, worth something. I've just, you know, come to the conclusion that, like, if I'm going to have a public platform of some variety, if I'm going to have any audience at all, then I want to use it for something that I think is actually good and not just bullshit and you know, stuff that I don't want on the internet anymore. When are you applying to go on Big Brother or Survivor? Is there a joke here that I'm missing? Because never. I don't want to go on either of those shows. Do you think that I would be, like, there's something about me that would be a good fit for those shows or something? I don't know. What did you study in college? I studied film. That was an easy one. Thoughts on American politics as a whole? I don't even really know where to begin. Like, what does that even mean? Just a compendium of my opinions about politics right now? I mean, I don't even know. Like, what about politics? I mean, they suck. American politics is terrible. It's all aesthetics and signs and symbols, and nothing of any actual material consequence happens. Well, not that nothing happens, but nothing changes. The political discourse in this country has been very deliberately, like, manufactured to sort of make people not have imaginations of what the world could be like outside of, like, this very specific last 50 years of, like, neoliberal capitalism. Yeah, and it sucks. It's why, like, with what's going on right now with the police protests, with, you know, there are people that I would agree with about defunding or even abolishing the police, because it's not about the individual cops, it's about the institution of police being bad, and like a bad idea, and that doesn't work at what it says it's trying to do. And all that, you know, the people in power can really give us are, like, just little, like, reforms that are essentially just, like, more layers of HR for police, or completely symbolic gestures, like painting Black Lives Matter on the ground, or changing the fucking cast of The Simpsons. Like, anyone really, like, and I think a lot of stuff like that, it exists specifically to cheapen the politics of the actual, like, movement of the people looking for accountability and for police and justice for these people killed by police. It makes them look petty because it gets lumped in. All the people who are already against what they are for, now they think that one of their demands is also no white people should play people of color on The Simpsons. And yeah, you could make the argument that, yeah, probably a good idea to change that, but, like, that was never a serious part of what people wanted, and it does nothing to address anything that of actual consequence that people are talking about. I don't know a single person, a single, like, activist involved in these things who was really gunning for the Simpsons cast change as, part of their list of demands. It's stuff like that. That's kind of the most broad sort of description of American politics and how I see it that I can give, is that it's because the state has been hollowed out and both parties pretty much exist to just exercise the desire of capital. Neither of them can do anything. Neither of them can actually, especially the Democrats, can actually wield power to and do politics to make changes for people. And that's why everything's been very stagnant in the social and economic order for the last 30, 40 years. It's a real pickle, and I don't know how to get out of it. And who knows if we ever will? I don't know, but that's how I see it at the moment. Do you have any guilty pleasure films? No, I have some movies that I like that I know some people don't. That it's not considered a super well-known movie, but at this point, I've found kindred spirits for almost all of them. The two off the top of my head, it's weird that they're both racing or motor sport related, but Speed Racer and Hot Rod both come to mind as movies that I think are better than they were deemed by critics at the time. But I mean, there are so many people who like both of those movies a lot, and so I've kind of just done away with the notion of guilty pleasure anything, especially movies at this point, because I mean, I don't care. I'm not guilty about anything that I like. Who gives a shit? And I don't care if most people think it's bad. I don't really think about guilty pleasure movies. I like what I like, and everybody else can do that too. I don't care. Do you think you're better off alone? That's very deep. No, not really. I mean, I certainly like alone time. I am an introvert. I value time that is quiet. I value solitude. It's I like to have time to think just my own thoughts and not have a bunch of background noise all the time. I obviously like to be alone when I'm doing videos and doing work, but I mean, I've been very sad to not be able to see my friends these last few months. And I would probably be going insane or dead if I just lived here alone and not with Liv. Because I mean, you need other people as a support system, and the human connection is the point of life, as far as I can tell. So no, I don't think I would be better off alone. I very much value the people in my life. What are some movies that you think have the best practical effects? Off the top of my head, The Thing by John Carpenter. I've done a classic review of that. Has some of the best practical gore and creature effects in a movie I've seen. I also recently watched the Saul Bass movie Phase 4, which is a sci-fi movie from the 70s about killer ants. That one's really great. It has a lot of good, small scale, I don't know if they were animatronics, but puppets and stuff like that. What first got you interested in video games? Good question. The thing that got me into video games was when I was a child, I would watch my brother play video games. That's really the long and short of it. My older brother played a lot of video games. He still does. And he had a GameCube and a PS2, and then he left. When he moved out, he took those, and I had to buy my own PS2. Actually, I didn't even buy it. I got it for Christmas. But anyway, I'd watch him play GTA and Resident Evil and Tales of Symphonia and a bunch of other games that were not very appropriate for me to be watching. And in fact, Resident Evil 4 actually gave me nightmares. But yeah, that's what he would be doing when I came home from school, so I would often be doing that instead of my homework for a long time. And it wasn't for a while that I really played video games super often, and when they were, it was mostly licensed games based on movies that I liked as a child. And it wasn't until I found Let's Plays, which I primarily took a shine to because they were when my brother would play games and talk to me about them. It wasn't until then, which I was probably around 12 or 13, that I actually started like learning about like popular video game series and trying them out, and that's when I got like emulators going. And I mean, I still wouldn't count myself as some like turbo, super experienced gamer, but I've played video games for many hours. I'm not all that well versed. I'm not all that good at them, but I do like them. I like playing them with other people. I like playing them by myself. And a lot of them but I've played them for most of my life. It's just that I didn't like seriously consider them as like a medium until much more recently. What are some of your favorite books? Shit. I don't read that many fictional books, so I don't have too many of those. My favorite children's book is Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. I still come back to that every once in a while. It's very good wordplay, sort of, fantasy novel. Other novels that I like... the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov is good. I mean, Grapes of Wrath is, like, just a towering achievement. I haven't read it in a long time. That's the thing. A lot of the fictional books and, like, novels that I've read, I haven't read all the way through in a while, so I don't really have, like, big thoughts in my mind. Non-fiction books that I like, that I've read recently... The Shock Doctrine is really good. Oh, Disney War, that's good. I've talked about that book a few times, about Michael Eisner. Very interesting book. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been reading for the last several years mostly, is like political theory, like history, nonfiction, and like biographies. That's just what I've been into. So yeah, most of my like favorite books are like, oh yeah, this one's really depressing and it makes you really smart. So, Hollywood in the New Millennium. I mentioned that in the Hollywood Crash video. That's a great one. Sort of contemporary film, industry sort of book. And Understanding Comics is another one that I've shouted out before. And I forget the author's name. But that's a good one. If you want to learn a lot about not only comic books and the history of comics, but about just, like... semiotics and like the philosophy of images, all very cool, and the psychology of images, all good stuff. Favorite video game of all time and why? I don't have one, because video games, they all scratch very different itches, but just ones that I play a lot and that I always come back to and that really like have a lot of my favorite things in games. Probably gonna say Battle for Bikini Bottom. I like all of the GTA games, and I don't really know which one's my favorite. San Andreas 4 and 5 are the ones that I play the most, and they all sort of have different strengths and weaknesses. So I'm just gonna say those. Just GTA games as a whole, and those three specifically are probably all up there. I don't know. I like The Sims. Sims 1 and 3 are my favorites. Roller Coaster Tycoon is a great game. Mario Sunshine I like a lot. I like Portal 2. Those are good. Yeah. Top 3 favorite bands. I'm gonna guess that you mean bands with instruments and not like groups, or like rap groups. If I had to say that, my favorite rap groups are probably Tribe Called Quest, Brockhampton, and Public Enemy, or Wu-Tang Clan for sure. Those, if that's one meaning of band, Tribe Called Quest, Brockhampton, Wu-Tang, rap groups. And then bands, I'm going to go in no particular order, Talking Heads, Rage Against the Machine, and ELO. Similar question, favorite rock band and favorite songs of theirs. I mean, my favorite like traditional, what people think of as rock and like classic rock or whatever, is probably Queen, but that's pretty common answer probably. But I'm going to go with, again, Talking Heads. They're probably, I guess you would call them a rock band. I mean, they obviously dip into a lot of different genres, but I think you could broadly classify them as a rock band. And yeah, they're probably my favorite. And favorite songs of theirs, Off the Dome, Once in a Lifetime, Road to Nowhere, Making Flippy Floppy. Yeah, those are some good ones. What's your favorite aspect of the filmmaking process? I like a lot of them. My favorite one to do, personally, is writing. The screenwriting. That's my favorite part to do, and usually, as a result, the thing that I, like, notice first when I watch movies is the script and the story and the structure. But I, luckily, from going to film school, one good advantage of film school is that I did get to dip my toes into every part of the filmmaking process. And I do like editing. It's fun to do, but it's not my first choice for what I'd want to do in the film industry, because it's extremely time consuming and very hard, and like literally the entire language of the movie rests on the editor. But it's extremely interesting from a theoretical and technical perspective, and I really like thinking about and reading about that. Cinematography is also a really interesting element of filmmaking. It's not one that I'm very good at. Do you feel that college is worth it thus far? Well, like I said, one good thing about film school is that I did get a pretty good amount of exposure to different parts of the film industry, and a lot of my professors were pretty straight up with me about, like, the cutthroat nature of the business. And obviously I liked going to college. I met a lot of cool people there. I in a lot of ways I miss being in college. For one thing, I don't mind school. Like, I kind of like having to read books and write stuff sometimes. You know, it was nice to live on campus and to, you know, see my friends very often, because we all just lived around there and we all were going to class around there. But now we all have jobs and our own stuff. I mean, even before the pandemic, you barely see anybody as compared to in college. I mean, worth it in terms of the cost? I mean, like, objectively, no. Like, college in America is ridiculously overpriced for a number of reasons that, you know, other people than me have enumerated. Do I regret doing it? Do I think it was a mistake to do it? Do I feel bad for having done it? No, because while it was my choice, I was kind of pushed into it, not just, like, by my parents or whatever, and I don't fault them for that, but just the organization of society. Just, that's what you do. You go to college when you're done with high school, and then you're in debt for the rest of your life, and then you die, and that's when you never get to do what you want to do, and that's the best system we have. That's the best we can do, so you just gotta live with it. I'm in that as much as anybody else. It sucks. I'm paying my loans. I hate it. I can't change the experiences I've already had. I can't change the decisions I've already made. I just have to take the good with bad, find things to enjoy, and there are good things that have come from my college experience. I can't stay too bitter about it for too long. I would like my student loan debt canceled, but and everybody's. Yeah, sure, it was worth it for me. I grew as a person, or whatever the fuck. I don't think I should have paid as much as I could, but I didn't really have a choice. So, but I'm not going to try to place a monetary value on whatever things of value I got from college. The fact of the matter is, college should be free. It should be worth it because you just get something out of it because it's a public service. The last one here is, what do you think movie theaters will look like after the pandemic? I guess this was posted before I put up the Hollywood Crash Revisited video, which is pretty much all about that. So I guess you can just go watch that video and you will know. But essentially, they will probably just continue getting more expensive, and fewer kinds of movies will be shown there, and more of it will move into streaming. And I mean, who knows what that will mean for anything. I don't think they'll ever be completely gone, but I do think we're probably entering a period of an acceleration in the decline of movie theaters, at least in America. And what I think the reasons for why that is, again, you can find in that other video that I uploaded. Those are all the questions I'm going to do for now. Thank you to all the people who asked questions that didn't suck ass. I would also like to thank the people who give me money on Patreon. Their names will be coming up next to my face as usual, and they will be getting a little special something in their Patreon messages in the next couple of days. as reward for tithing to me. I am very late on reviewing the new Spike Lee movie, but I want to do that soon, so hopefully that'll happen later in the week. I just haven't been in the mood for a 2.5 hour war movie lately, so but I'll do it. I do have some Let's Watch ideas germinating they're in the works. It's just a matter of, the people and the time and all that jazz, and other shit. I don't know. I'll upload videos when I have them ready, and then you'll watch them. So thank you again for asking your questions and for watching the video, and I will see you all next time.